Hi, this is George. I'm going to do a what I call a random Doodle Tuesday, and I'm basing this one on this design that I doodled as I was waiting for my phone to recharge. I'm going to use baked paper. It's 100% cotton, and it's 140-pound cold pressed. I'm going to use my mechanical pencil because I like the fine point, and it's pretty consistent. I don't have to sharpen it, obviously. And I'm going to use my kneaded eraser when I'm done with the pencil. I will go back in and add more lines as I need. And before I ink in, which I'm going to use my Statler 8 pigment liner set. It comes with 8 points, and I'll show you what I'm going to use as I pull out the pens. So I'm going to put a little bit of a dot in each corner. I'm not really worried about straight or exact dimension. Now you can see that I went over. I'm going to leave that because I may need it later on. Always an option. So the design basically is kind of a square within a square. And some circles. I have a template for circles because circles for me are kind of difficult. And the materials that I'm going to be using are going to be in the description below, which is down here. Good. You can have more or less depending upon your style. And let's add some straight lines. Kind of straight. I'm going to go in with my 1.0, which is kind of thick, And when I draw a straight line, I tend to draw towards me. I stop at a point that is a kind of seems like a natural way to do it. So I extended the line down a little bit. And obviously I'm going to include my error. Stopping there because this line dissects. Okay. We can do this and this. I like to force another line every so often, because why not? Let's see. We can go here, stop, and every so often rotate your paper. To make it easier for you to draw in your lines. Now, if you're a perfectionist like I used to be, I would have like a straight edge and use the edge of the and then draw it like that. But if I did that, then I would lose my wavy lines, which I like. But you do you, and we're all going to be happy. The reason why I do these every so often is I'm not really concentrating on the colors that I would use in other video. I'm just going for black and white mostly. I mean, some of the doodles in the playlist at the end of the video. Again, I'm not worried about any quote unquote errors, because your errors will be incorporated in the final doodle. Of course, when I was younger, the small imperfections would have really gotten to me and I would stop. But since I no longer am fixated on perfection, I'm not worried, because I realize that everything works out in the end. As going back on the issue of color, I probably will include okay. So I'm going to let the ink dry and I will be back. So the ink is pretty much dry, and the good thing is with Staedtler ink, it tends to dry quickly. But if I leave a little bit of pencil marks, that's okay, because I like the look that you get with a pencil mark left behind. So I'm going to retire that, the 1.0, and go in with my 0.7. It's a finer point than the 1.0, and then going to round out some areas. I don't know if I'm going to round out everything, but who knows. And rounding out is basically when two lines come together and form a corner. And depending upon how much you round out is all it's all depending on what you like to do. For smaller areas, I like to use 0.07, but sometimes I will go back in and use the 1.0 to save the nib, because it's kind of, the paper is a little bit textures, so you want to save your points as much as possible. And you can add in, like I did here and here, every so often. It makes the doodle a bit more interactive, as opposed to staying and worry about what's on the pencil lines. Hope that makes sense. So I have a quick question. Some of the videos will have sped up parts, and I want to know if you find the sped up sections the disruptive to you, because my goal is to not bore you as I doodle, and sometimes I'm doing the same thing over and over again, and while I like it, the process, some of you may not. So let me know in the comments section below if you prefer that I don't speed up anything, or if you're okay with that. Because these are for you to enjoy, and I want to have it be, and it is enjoyable for you as they are for me. And every so often, reorientate your paper. Does it look better landscape or portrait? And by doing that, you also have a different perspective of what is going on with your doodle. Okay. So I'm not going to do a rounding out there and there, but I am going to do it here. And making sure that I am in frame. And I'm going to go in with my line again to make it darker.